A lot of times people think of success as how high I will rise and will I get a Nobel Prize? Will I do this? Instead, be more humble about it and you'll probably be more powerful in the world. The most important thing for any human being is that your life benefits someone else.
Welcome back. Another episode. This is Code of the Craftsman, where we decode the art of mastering your craft. My name is Ben Cowan.
My name is Jay Briggs.
We are here with the great Dr. Laura Schlessinger of SiriusXM Radio, National Radio Hall of Fame inductee, and runs the Dr. Laura program on SiriusXM Triumph 111. Got millions and millions of followers, including myself, a longtime listener of the Dr. Laura program, and just thought what an absolutely perfect person to reach out to, have on the podcast to pick her brain. Jay, what would you say the main topics were that we covered in this conversation?
The main topics I would say is, advice to the younger generation. She has years of wisdom, years of knowledge that are invaluable. And then also just what it takes to master your craft. She's at the top of her game, and she's still pursuing it at such a high level.
Her listeners will call in to her program, tell her about a situation or a problem that they're facing. And live on the air, Dr. Laura will give her advice on how to potentially handle that situation, solve it. Really cool opportunity that we got to do this and really get inside her mind on some of the topics that are important to us. I know are important to a lot of other people going through some of the same things that we are.
And I definitely think, even though we said she gives a lot of advice to the younger generation, I think it's applicable to everybody. I think anybody can catch a game off of it. She just gives so many different nuggets that are invaluable.
So with that, give us a follow at Code of the Craftsman on Instagram. Also have a free email newsletter list, which you can add your name to, www.codeofthecraftsman.com. Follow, master your craft with us, one conversation at a time. Let's get into the conversation. Hope you all enjoy. Excited for you guys to hear this.
Dr. Laura.
Go for it.
We look forward to it. Starting just on, the advice to the younger generation.
Before you go there, may I just back up a tiny bit?
Certainly.
I never had any intention of doing what I've been doing for 50 years. It was not a plan in my head. It was an accident. I was an academician from New York, PhD in physiology from Columbia University, postdoctoral. My life's work came to get me. I had no clue, really. I was just going to be a research biologist, physiologist, and teach. So the first thing I would tell the younger generation is you think you know, but often your destiny comes and grabs you. So to be rigid by what your parents are expecting you to do or an early notion of what you thought was spectacular to be important, keep loose, keep your mind open, and don't get rigid because sometimes you're meant to be elsewhere. And you got to be loose with it.
Really? That's impressive, Dr. Laura, because you basically answered our first question. It was, could you imagine the path that your life, would have taken? And it's interesting you say that too, because you were saying like how you need to be open. And Ben and I, we always share with each other. It's like we always want to have these plans. We always want to set this agenda of what our life may be like. But he and I have kind of adopted this perspective. Have a direction, not necessarily an agenda.
Well, having a direction is very important. Even if it's going to change later on and you never imagined it. Because when you have a direction, you're working hard at something and you're learning the skills of thinking, reasoning, being tenacious about things, not quitting, learning how to deal with failure and bad surprises and all kinds of negative stuff that happens. And if you have a direction and you stay with it, well, you've looked at a map. It's not one line. It has a million lines. So while you're doing one, all of a sudden another beckons. And that's good because now you have some skills to take it on.
What would you tell somebody who's just, starting their career at that age, maybe and just totally lost, like still maybe job searching or trying to find their direction? What would you tell somebody who calls into your show and that's what they're facing?
Do something, do anything, stay active. Optimism is a very good quality, especially when it's hard to have faith that things will work out or you do have an adequate future to look at. You have to assume there is a beautiful future for you. And even though you're not quite on that path right now, the path you're on is preparing you for any path. I think a lot of people don't understand that. So Don't be negative. Don't say, I'm flipping a hamburger and this is useless. It's your starting point. Don't think of it as an end point.
Dr. Laura, I wanted to ask, you were saying how we want to have that optimistic outlook. How have you trained yourself to have that type of optimistic outlook?
I'm 78 now, so I've been through a hell of a lot of bad moments. And looking back, it's hard to think this will end, this will get better, I can move on, this is ultimately all right. I've got friends who can hug me. I have hobbies to distract me. I have a dog, I have a puppy dog. It makes me feel better. But in the beginning, it's very hard. And to some extent, you have to take it on faith. Don't give in. Don't give in. And it may take you some time. It takes you a lifetime to practice it. And without friends, there's no way to get through life. So for the people who just are so focused on making money or getting degrees or doing this or doing that, if you leave out the friend quotient, you're going to suffer and not be able to get through things as well. Friends are a gift from God. Don't take it lightly. Nurture them. Realize a friend from a non-friend, but a friend is going to stand by you and sort of hold you up. I mean, if I looked at all the times I wanted to quit, give up, hide, run into a cave, stay under the bed, innumerable. Your experience in getting through these moments helps, and friends who support the process. Don't minimize friendships.
Transitioning a little bit to the idea of, how you've been able to hone in on your craft the way you have, and also a little bit about your show. What do you think? I know that you were in, so you were in local radio for, several years. How were you able to, make that jump? You're in local radio for a long time, and especially there's a lot of competition. You had been pretty good at what you did to get from a local.
I was different.
How so?
That's what makes the difference. Being different. I was myself. So in the beginning, very early in the beginning, I was spending my time thinking, I have to sound smart and I have to take each person and fix them. And once you get that nonsense out of your head and then you be who you are. I've had young people in radio over the years call and say, how do you do this? And I say, who are you? Well, what do you mean, who am I? Well, you've got to be something original that makes a difference. And I'm tough. I'm funny. I create intimacy quickly. People who listen to me already have established a relationship with me so that when I deal with them in sometimes a very tough manner, because I've got to get through the defense mechanisms in a short amount of time, because it's radio, it's not my office for an hour. And it's the originality comes from being true to whoever the hell you are.
And from your perspective, so why do you think, if you had to sum it up, why do you think people listen to you? Like, what is it that you think is resonating so deeply with people that you've been able to not only attract, but also maintain a really large?
Well, I get people who say I started listening to you when I was in the car seat in the back of my mother's car, the back seat. They were in a little car seat as a kid. And now they're listening to me with their own kids. I can only go by what they tell me, other than designing what I think they're saying. It's what people tell me almost every day. They appreciate that I'm upfront. I don't mince words. I tell them what I think is the truth. And I'm clearly desiring to help. And they find me full of information, full of insight, full of wisdom is the word I hear. It always makes me feel 120 years old and like I should have a beard. I think I covered it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've gotten. I get that from listening to you.
And it's intimate. It's intimate. When you talk to me, it's intimate.
Sure. Dr. Laura, I'm also curious, what has allowed you to become so confident in your perspective, especially with such a large platform as yours?
That's an interesting question. Nobody has ever asked that. I love that. That's half a century of being asked questions. The confidence comes from letting it out. I, early on, sometimes would take a night off. I was on at night, and then I would be listening to a tape of me. They would play a rerun. And I remember once I pulled into my garage and they just sat there, didn't turn the car off because I wanted to hear how I answered it truthfully and not to sound too weird. I'm like in an alternate space when I'm talking to people so that when I listen later, I'm not in that alternate space. I'm listening like a listener. I'm not really connected to a person. I feel very connected when I'm talking to somebody on the air. I mean, I really feel connected. And so sometimes I'll go into a commercial and I'll go, wow, I can't wait to hear what I'm going to say, because it comes from some place that I just trust. That's the point. You come to a place when you've done something enough that you trust yourself. That's where the confidence comes from. And you can't get that without a hell of a lot of practice. And then it goes in two circles. It sort of feeds back on itself. I trust myself, so I let myself go. I let myself go. It goes to a good place. Therefore, I learn to trust.
Usually this is our last question, but I think I'm going to break the rules a little bit here and ask you it now. So as you know, our show is called Code of the Craftsman, and we ask all of our guests, if you had to define the word craftsman, or somebody said you're a craftsman.
I would define craftsman, and I don't need to go craftswoman, because I think the terms mankind, craftsman, it's generic, it's neutral, and it refers collectively. So I don't get that. It didn't refer to you guys and leave me out. Okay. So I'm not hypersensitive about that nonsense. But a craftsperson, just committed to and competent at what they do. They're committed to it. That's the point that's usually left out of the definition. Without a commitment, you're never going to get good. You're going to be okay. Okay, it's never been enough for me.
Not enough for me either, Dr.
No,
Laura.
no.
I'm curious, Dr. Laura. What's your framework on help? Do you have like a set framework that you abide by when you're trying to help somebody, or is it just kind of organic every single
Organic.
time you talk to somebody?
50 years of experience and organic. I hear them. I hear them on all levels. Largely what's happening is I get very close to the person in my own mind, and I can tell them, hey, sit up straighter. How did you know I wasn't sitting up straight? I can feel it. I trust my instinct. I have said things to a caller just before a commercial, gone into the commercial and gone, shit, that was kind of rough. And then I come back and they go, you hit it right on the head. I let it flow, because at this point, I trust that even if my on the table recognition is not there on some deeper level, I'm processing it. And I trust that. Everything isn't on the surface. We have deep areas in our souls and our psyche which relate to each other. And if you believe in that and let it flow, most of the time you're going to do fine. Every now and then you're going to be an idiot. It's okay. Nobody's died from being an idiot temporarily.
Yeah. Can you usually tell if somebody is going to take the advice that you're giving?
I don't put that burden on them or me, and that's what makes it all better. One lady the other day, I went through a whole thing, and she was negative, and I said, okay, if you don't agree with what I said, do the opposite. Tell me I'm full of shit and just do the opposite. And she went, you were right. I have a way of getting past offenses most of the time.
Fairly.
Because, there is no change, there is no growth without being defensive about it, because you're scared. That's the thing about being very young that I would never want to do over again. You spend too much of your time being scared. Is it going to work out? Is this person going to like me? Am I going to succeed or fail? Am I going to have this opportunity? Is my health going to stay? I mean, you spend a lot of time in fear. You get to my age, you're not scared of anything anymore, except for a mountain lion coming in here hungry.
Sure. You have a lot of callers that call into you asking for, or seeking advice. Is there any certain topic, question, or struggle that people may call into you that tends to hit home because you've been through it? If so, what would that struggle or what would that question that they tend to ask be for you?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is I have cancer. And immediately I know the mindset, been there, done that. And so I'm comfortable because I really work on myself. I mean, I am my tool. Think about that. If I built houses, I'd have to have my hammer, my saw, all my things in good condition. What I do, I am my tool. So I have to make sure that I am up to speed with myself. So I'm not taking it out on anybody or making gross assumptions, but it gives me a door that I can come through. So I let them know, and I say something like, been there, done that. How bad is yours on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, if I hadn't gone through it, I would think most people would not be comfortable asking somebody, so how good or bad is your cancer? You know, how lucky. Mine was not so bad. Tell me about yours. And I'm scared. I have talked to women and helped them cope, and then called them at the hospital, and then weeks later get a call from the spouse that they died. But to the end, they were so excited that Dr. Laura sent flowers and that I understood. Things like that humble you. So yeah, you use yourself, but it's only supposed to be in the benefit of the person you're trying to help, not dealing with your own angst about it. That should be done already.
I like the reference to the tools, because that's what's called Code of the Craftsman, and we refer to it in a metaphorical sense. And you kind of hit that right on the nail there.
Yeah, as you are, whatever it is, you are the tool, and you have to keep sharp, not run on arrogance.
Yeah. And Dr. Laura, given the range of all the problems that you've heard, people call in about, is there anything that still surprises you?
Funny you should ask. It's not a particular topic that I can be surprised at this point, but when people can do a series of really bizarre judgments and not once stop and think, this is dumb. I'm doing this and it's hurting me. It's hurting my kids. It's hurting my family. It's hurting my friends. It's hurting the universe. I think in the 50 years, I've discovered that people less and less are spending time thinking through when they do things, thinking through to the consequences. Okay, if I do these 4 stupid things, it's going to be fine. And people call me sometimes and I go, the reason I'm doing this on air and not in my office is I want people to learn, listening to how other people are making decisions and functioning in their lives. And basically, there are some things that can't be fixed. And I tell people that, sorry, you made so many stupid decisions that right now you have to endure it. And you've hurt your kids doing this. You've hurt yourself. You've hurt your extended family, and it can't be fixed. So doing this on air, I hope to get to the people to stop doing things that lead them to the point of no return. I'm loving your questions. Keep going.
Of course, you have years of experience, but I'm curious about your upbringing, the young Dr. Laura, how you grew up to form you into the person you are today. What was it about your upbringing that you found to be so pivotal that has created the person that we see today?
My father's family was very rejecting and horrible. And at one point, my mother took me when I was about 2.5 and went back to Italy, and she didn't want to come back to America because his family was just so crappy to her. So it was tough watching a family that mom and dad were unpleasant with each other all of the time because they just couldn't survive all the difference and everything. And it was really negative, and I would spend a lot of time inside myself and inside my room and learning and doing things on my own. And my ultimate escape was to be very smart. However, in school, I was average because I was bored most of the time with school, which is typical of most kids who are a bit bright. So I didn't really, till I hit college, out of the family, out of the negativity, out of the ugliness, and I just jumped way into being a student. So if you want to know how I got started, I was crawling out of a negative hole.
Laura, I'm curious because you said you would see the clash between your parents, but I know a lot of society today, they still experience that to where they may be growing up in a household and they see the clash firsthand, which you really don't want your kids to be exposed to that. But what advice would you have for those kids who are seeing that on a daily basis? And it could be very detrimental to that kid.
Probably going to be surprised at the answer, but my way to help those kids is indirect. I'm talking to the adults, working out things, having them relate better. The books I wrote, they mostly have to do with children, but they're not about children at all. But if I can get adults to behave properly, if I can get married people to be more loving, considerate, warm, kind, if I can get people to be more understanding about their kids, etc., that's how I help the kids. Other than that, take a bus, come to my house. I have 3 good meals a day. I'm on air for the kids. That's the secret. That's the secret behind what I do. It's for kids and young adults like you guys.
Sorry, how did you make that your target audience?
Because the kids have no power. So I do have a thing where if you're a minor, you can call me, but a parent or some other relative has to be on the phone. And I talk to kids. Sometimes it ends up I'm talking to both the parent and the kid, like this 16, 17-year-old boy who's getting out of control. And he doesn't want to go to college and he's just being negative. And I said to him, yeah, Make believe your mother's not on the line. What do you really want to be doing? Do you really want to go to college and learn? No, I want to become a car mechanic. And you hear the mother go, you know? And I go, Mom, what was that noise? That's what he's meant to be doing. Why aren't you loving it up and supporting him? Well, because we have our notion you're supposed to go to college. He wants to be a car mechanic. So let him go to some places in the neighborhood and volunteer to sweep the place and get started knowing what he wants to be. It's more important as a young man that he has something he wants to identify with and become very good at. I don't care what it is. And too many parents care. And that's a problem. So that call on air, a lot of parents are listening to it and going, gee, I guess she's right. I'm pushing her or him to do something that really isn't in their heart and soul.
Dr. Laura, following up from that last question, looking at your legacy, what do you hope people learn from listening to you? Do you have a discrete goal that you've set out to accomplish from the beginning? And if so, what would that goal be?
As I said, my destiny came and got me, so I didn't have this as a goal. I found that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my contribution to the universe. And I'd like everybody specifically have the same goal, to do something that adds something good and beautiful to the universe. That should be your goal, no matter how it's accomplished. I don't care about the details. If you make wigs for people who have lost their hair because of cancer, that's making the universe more beautiful because it's bringing joy and removing some pain from people. So a lot of times people think of success as how high I will rise. And will I get a Nobel Prize? Will I do this? Instead, be more humble about it, and you'll probably be more powerful in the world. The humility comes from, I want that my life has benefited somebody else. And I'm going to die in 34 years. I'm guessing. I'm going to die in 34 years knowing that my life has helped people. So if your life is just about you and what you can put on a resume and how impressive you look, that's fun. We work hard and I like to win, but it can't be the main point, because if you don't win that day or that week or that month or that year, you're not going to be happy. I can be happy every day, ultimately knowing that my life is benefiting somebody else. That's good. I'm good.
Dr. Laura, you said if you don't win that day, and I want to take it a step back to when you answered our initial question of what does being a craftsman mean to you, you said commitment. I feel a lot of times when we don't win one day, we struggle with commitment. How have you, over the course of your career and over the course of your life, been able to stay committed?
Because you can't win them all. Somebody else has to win. But so what? I'll win next time. You stay committed because you enjoy the process. Everybody's got to remember the process of just getting out there and doing it is a fabulous process, which in of itself buoys you, makes you feel real good. The process is good.
I honestly want to flip it on you. Just, you engaging in conversation with us. What is your heart telling you to ask us, or what are you curious about us, given that we are a part of the younger generation in these times?
A guy called me yesterday and his wife died and he was kind of miserable and he was talking about what he was doing and he wanted me to help him do better at it. And I'm listening and I'm asking questions and I'm listening and I'm asking questions. And at the end of it, I went, you're fine. And that's what I want to say. Ben too. But for you, you're fine. I trust you. I trust that you will take the things that you learn and make the world more perfect. I trust it. So I don't have to give you advice. You're fine. And I don't say that lightly to anybody unless I mean it. You're fine. If someday you want to call me and ask me a question or have me help you get past a speed bump, do it. Either one of you and or both, you can call me personally at any time if you'd like to talk to me because you need some help with something that's going on. You're stuck with me now. I'm sort of your surrogate mom, grandma.
For sure, Dr. Laura. No, I appreciate that. No, I don't take that lightly. That's definitely,
Don't
just a
take it
blessing.
lightly. I meant it.
Yes, ma'am. For sure. It's definitely a blessing just to hear you say that. This has been great. Just over the course of, speaking to you over the last 40 minutes, it seems like you're still in the pursuit of mastering your craft.
Oh, yeah.
We call it the Code of the Craftsman, and we say decoding the art of mastering your craft. But the hidden token behind that, people see it as an endpoint, but we want people to see it as an ongoing pursuit. You're 50 years into your career.
Well, yeah, I've made it. I'm here and you were desirous to talk to me. So to a certain extent, I've made it, but I'm not finished. So I'm twisting what you said or curlicuing it a little bit. I am at the top of my craft, but there's so much more you do once you are at kind of the top of your craft. To me, you're morally obligated to continue using what you have become for the benefit of the universe again. And that's what I tell to people who call and, I've retired or I'm sick or I'm 25 and I'm in a wheelchair now. And yeah, but what is it you're good at? Yeah, you're no longer good at sports. Sorry. But what is it you are good at? And they come up with stuff. And I say, well, you have a moral obligation to take what you're good at and benefit the world with it. And it's a whole new notion as opposed to just feeling sorry for yourself. Yes, feel sorry for yourself that you're in a freaking wheelchair. That's terrible. I would be very upset and miserable. However, that's not all there is to you and what you can provide. Again, the most important thing for any human being is that your life benefits someone else.
Certainly. Because I have that same outlook, Dr. Laura, to where my life isn't built on what I can gain from this world, but it's built on what I can give to this world. It's built on impact.
Then you will have fewer unhappy times than most people.
Certainly. Take it even further, Dr. Laura. How have you say you've gotten to the top of your craft, which you certainly have. How have you been able to sustain it? I feel like a lot of people get to the top and they're not able to sustain it.
I eat right, I sleep right, I work out, I have a lot of sports, I have a lot of hobbies, I have a lot of friends. All of this stokes the fires in the generator. And as long as my brain works, I'm going to be doing this.
Certainly. Dr. Laura, Ben said, he said, can't wait to see you in LA for your live show.
Oh, you're going to be there? Great. All right. Hugs all around. I can't wait to see you there. I really want you to see what I do face to face. I think you'll have fun at it.
Certainly. Dr. Laura, I'm so sad that I'm not going to be able to make it. I've got some
I'm sorry, what's more important than me?
Nothing. That's what I'm trying to say. I got some big business meetings that day here at work, but Ben will be able to make it out there and hold it down on part of Code of the Craftsman and be able to see you firsthand.
Well, I'll do it again in the fall. I
will be there. Hold me to it. I will certainly be there. But now, without further ado, Dr. Laura, I appreciate the time greatly. Even dropping valuable knowledge on me, on us, and whoever may listen to this. Your perspective is invaluable. I take a lot from it, and you are making that impact, as you said. You're making the world a better place just through all the advice and guidance that you give to so many people who look up to you. You got a fan in me. You got a fan in Code of the Craftsman. You got a fan in Ben Cowan. And without further ado, thank you so much for being on our platform, and we can't wait to talk again. And as you said I can call you at any time.
Call me in, and I mean that.
Certainly.
If I never get a call from you, I'll be very pissed.
I promise you, I'll take you up on that, Dr. Laura. Before we end, we always have our guests say Code of the Craftsman out. So I always give the count to 3. When I get to 3, you say Code of the Craftsman out. 1, 2, 3.
Code of the I've always been called One Take Schlessinger, and I just blew that. All right, 3, 2, 1. Code of the Craftsman.
Out. Thank you so much, Dr. Laura. I appreciate it greatly.
Do this another time, okay?
We'd love to. Best of luck on your show.
Thank you for listening. We hope you are able to reflect and apply the wisdom that resonates. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Code of the Craftsman. Stay tuned for more content, special guests, and gems you can only get on Code of the Craftsman.